This is the best teapot in all of China, and it can only be made by a master potter. I will show you how this teapot was made mixing clay with skills. I want you to remember, as I tell you this, that this isn't just making a pot. It's beyond pottery. It's a poetic blend of clay and art, a result of building a perfect object from a lump of nothing. Before I start, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like and a comment. It begins like all great things do, with something very simple, a dense, brown chunk of clay. It doesn't look like much. She lifts it and she slams it down on her work surface. This isn't violence. It's a conversation. She's checking for air bubbles, feeling for consistency, making sure the clay is soft and obedient and ready for what comes next. Therefore, she takes a cutter and slices through the mass, separating a perfect portion from the whole. Now, the transformation starts. She takes a wooden paddle and begins to beat the clay. She slaps it down and beats it again. This process is repetitive, almost meditative, but there is a fierce purpose here: to make the clay utterly uniform. Therefore, after what seems like 100 repetitions, the stubborn lump has surrendered, becoming a smooth, flat, and perfectly even sheet. Precision is everything. She takes a ruler and a sharp blade and cuts out a rigid rectangular sheet from this clay canvas. This sheet is placed on a small spinning wheel, and she gently coils it upon itself to form a cylinder and then a circle. Therefore, she cuts away the overlap, but the seam remains. So, she takes a brush and applies a special slurry, a glue made of clay and water, to the raw edge. She presses the seam with her fingers, then smooths it with a tool, over and over until the joinery disappears completely. It is now a seamless, perfect circle of clay. The first victory. The wheel begins to spin. She places this clay cylinder on the potter's wheel and puts her hands to work. One hand goes inside the emerging form. The other holds a flat wooden tool outside. She beats the clay in a rhythmic tap, tap, tap as the wheel turns. But her inside hand is there to meet every blow, guiding the force, resisting it, shaping it. Therefore, the clay doesn't flatten, it rises. It begins to curve inward, forming the elegant waist of the pot. The wheel spins, and she smooths the surface with various ribs and scrapers, chasing away any trace of roughness. Once the body has its perfect silhouette, she takes a cutter and, with the wheel still spinning, neatly slices off the uneven top to create a perfectly level, round opening. Therefore, she applies the special clay glue to the rim and carefully places a pre-made round, flat clay disc on top, sealing the pot. She blends and smooths this new seam until the lid looks as if it grew there. But the pot is still attached to the wheel by its base. So, she spins the wheel fast and with a steady hand, slides a cutter underneath, releasing the entire body. She flips it over, placing it upside down, so the open base is now facing up. Therefore, she begins the same process again, using her tools to curve and shape the bottom, ensuring the pot will sit with perfect, stable grace on a table. Elsewhere on her bench, the other components are coming to life. She rolls and shapes a thick piece of clay into a tapered cone for the spout, using nothing but her palms and the smooth wood. For the handle, she rolls another piece, arching it into a curly shape that is both strong and delicate. While those parts rest, she takes the pot and smoothens its body, removing every roughness and imperfection. For structure and stability of the top of the pot, she takes a pre-made round, thick clay disc, roughens the edges, and applies slurry to the edge. Then, with the help of a pipe placed at the center, she places it on the top. She runs her finger along the edge to even the excess slurry. Then, with a special tool, she defines the top edge of the pot while spinning the wheel. She forms the lid of the pot with grace, carefully defining the edges. She also forms a small knob for the lid. Each piece is a sculpture in itself. Next, she uses a special cutting tool that resembles a protractor to cut the perfect opening onto the top of the pot. She removes the cutoff and carefully trims the insides, removing excess clay from the edge. Then the assembly begins. This is where science and art become one. Like every teapot, a spout is required to pour out the content inside. Therefore, she takes a puncturing tool and carefully drills a series of small holes in the body for the spout. She does this so the tea will pour smoothly, but the leaves will stay inside. She glues the graceful spout over the holes. She attaches the strong, curved handle to the other side. Every attachment is strengthened, smoothed, and perfected. Finally, she covers the pot with the lid. Then, with a damp sponge and the most delicate of tools, she goes over every single millimeter of the entire teapot. She removes any last tool marks, any fingerprints, any hint of a seam or imperfection. She is not just making it smooth, she is making it silent. She is making it ready. She started with a formless lump of earth and ended with a vessel meant for ceremony. Every step was a decision. Every action had a reaction. Nothing was an accident. We all have raw, unshaped, or clay parts of our lives. So like this master potter, what's that one thing you could show a little more patience with today? Smoothing its edges until it feels like it was always meant to be that way.